Hi guys, welcome along to Stevie GTR, Anything Garage. The Hemingway's kit, large bore steady rest. This is part 7. I know it's gone on a bit, but there's a few viewers and people have said that they'd like to see more of what I'm doing. So I don't really want to start clipping loads. The last one I did, I chopped tons of it out. And I showed one part and said, well, I'll make 4 now, or the other 3, so there's 4 of everything. And of course, you know, you do number 1 and everything worked out lovely. Then you do number 2 or number 3 and you find a problem and you have to overcome that problem, and obviously that's not shown because I chopped it all out. Well, I never videoed most of that. So really, this part 7, I'm going to video quite a lot more of it, and I'll try and clip it so that it shows the bits that are important if I can. Okay, I do notice on YouTube, I think I were the first to have made that Hemingway's kit sensitive nailing tool, and there's quite a few people doing them now and showing them, and I'm not sure who they are. Cloud 42, or is it Clough 42, he's doing one, and there's another guy doing one. Oh, what do they call him? Inherited Machinist or something it's called, Inheritance Machines or something. I think he's just started one. He's made a few mistakes actually. I had to laugh because I were lucky really that all the material that was supplied with the kit I managed to use, and I did 2 little cock-ups, which if you remember, if anybody of you saw me do that, were an 8 episode series making that, and it were great. But there were just a couple of little bits I didn't get quite right, but I managed to catch it and get it right without wasting any material and have to put any more material in it. So yeah, you've just got to be so steady away. I think he was doing something and he made a mess and he said, I'm going to bed. And then next day he must have started again, and he made a great job then the day after. Which I suppose if you're tired and you're using machines and you don't think straight there. So anyway, that's got nothing to do with this part 7 that I'm doing. So part 7, I'm hoping to get it nearly complete. Now, what's probably going to be left and what would be part 8 is probably going to be that bottom bit, the base. And the milling of it, because there's quite a bit of stuff to do on milling machine, so that'd be interesting to show, you know, squaring stock up and stuff on mill, and getting my measurements right for my 2 holes and one thing and another. So there's quite a bit to do on there, and I think there's that piece of steel to mill as well, which is the guide plate that guides it onto the milling onto the lathe, so it slots in every time in the right place. And I don't know whether you fixed that. I'm not sure. I'll have to have a look, or whether it's just loose, but then it'd turn, wouldn't it? So it's probably going to be fixed with 2 screws underneath maybe and squared up. Anyway, onward and upward. I hope you enjoyed this part 7. As I say, it could be quite long. I don't know, 35 minutes maybe, I don't know. But I'm going to try and show everything that I do. And we're hopefully going to make a lot of progress. Thanks for watching. I think the vice is going to have to come off again for this operation, because what I've done is I've marked out all the holes that need drilling in these castings. These are quarter reamed through, the 2 outside ones, the centre ones, and 5mm for M6 thread on each one. A couple of issues really. I thought I'd leave the vice where it is and clamp that there. I mean, all I need to do is slide that out of the way, but unfortunately my table, even though it's quite a nice wide table, won't go over far enough to get these holes. And my other problem is my Y, which is that across the bed, is only something like 4.5 or 5.5 inches, which is bigger than the span of these. So even if I take the vice off and clamp this down direct onto the bed, I'm still going to have to move it twice. I'm going to have to probably clamp it something like that, drill these holes, then turn it like that and reclamp it and line it up and do those holes. Right, I've got this set up, so this is perfectly parallel with the bed. I put a little pointer in here, just something I found, and picked up on these two holes, or these two marks, and then moved the bed across and tapped this around until that was right, and then come back and checked at that one, and then I've got two clamp downs here holding it down. So that's two pilot holes drilled for that quarter reamer. I didn't go through with a quarter drill, I went through with the size under. I'll tell you, (15/64) that is. I've run the reamer through a bit deeper. I was worried about going through and damaging the bottom of the hole, so I set a stop. So only the first bit of the reamer were going in, but I've done it with a hand reamer. Well, it is a hand reamer anyway, and I've run it in as deep as dare go without hitting the bottom, and it obviously is slightly sharper there, and that's working. Yep, so 0, 7.9 mil. There we go. Some of you might be shouting at screen now saying you don't use any oil, you should use WD-40, I'll do it dry. I don't know. I have messed about with WD-40 and I've done it dry and it sticks like mad to the drill. Right, this is where I'm going to go deeper now. That's as far as I went last time. Just keep an eye on it. Make sure I get right end. Yep. There we go. What a fit. Great, so I'm going to turn it round and do the other operation. No, I'm not. I'm going to drill the M5 out and tap it. Now, that's another thing. I don't know if you drill through or not, and I think not. Because it's going to be a stud that's going to be locked in. Right, I've zeroed that DRO. I'm going to come down 6 mil, maybe less. And I'm going to finish it with a milling cutter. So that's the result of tonight's work. We've drilled the 8 holes for the dowel pins to go in. And they all fit now, and they're all reamed. Yeah, that reamer was a bit blunt at the end, but when I plunged it further in, it did the job. So I didn't have to do any further drilling of any kind. Okay, so that's that. I need to now cut 8 of these pins. I've looked at the drawing, but these measurements aren't the same. As I've said all along, this casting is not perfect. Neither is my work, by the way. I'm only amateur at this, so you know, I'm no pro. So the other bit is where I wear threaded rod here. So the M6 is done in there, there, and there. So they're done. I've given these a little polish up, and I've polished those other wheels up. So they're all polished up now. And the one that clamps the 2 halves of the shell together, give that a polish up. Right, so we've got 8 little pins to make, sort of like this. I've just chopped one off to see if this was successful. My blade were a bit high actually, and it ran over the top of that. So I brought a centre in from tailstock and lined it up, and I've had to tap that down a bit. I just undid the screws and lowered it slightly. So it's either on centre or a fraction below now. Pop a little chamfer on it. So there's 8 of these to do. .3 and a tad. That'll give me a chance to fettle other end when I've cleaned them up. Lock my carriage. But what I did when I brought that in, it's a centre, but it's got a bit of a flat on the end of it. Just so I could be repetitive and pull them out. But you know what? It don't matter because it's not supporting it in any way. And I've 10 to cut, 8 to cut, 7 now. But it's easy enough to just put the ruler on. Don't have to be within 1/1000th of an inch. They're only the finger locks, as you know, that's all they are. We'll have a go at another one then. Loctite 638. contaminated. Wow, it works. You've seen it here first, guys. Three and a half inch. I'm sure I measured that and I thought 3.5 inch would be a bit short. Three and a half inch there would be from the top of that and the top of that. Is a 1/2 inch down to the centre of that. So right down, that would be 3.5 inch should be back there. But if I were to draw that back to get maximum size in there, then I've got like 4 1/4 to there, and they're showing the thread when it's drawn back, right back up here. Well, that means one of them pins is going to drop, isn't it? So really it wants to be flush, all it means is when the fingers is right out, the thread will be there with it. But as long as the thread isn't sticking past this, it doesn't matter, does it? You can always cut them down. I can't lengthen them. So according to that, 4 1/4, 4 1/8. I'm going to make them at 4 1/8. These. Right. I found these grooves are quite deep enough in these fingers. They are actually deep enough. What it is they're not square. And it's this. This is the insert type, and it ain't actually cutting clean all the way across. So I've removed it, and that'll go in the drawer. And I've fit in my other one, which is an HSS blade, which is nice and square, and I'll bring that in, and that'll just take a smidgen off them, because these are all tight and I don't want them to bind. So just put that in. I'll come back when I've done that. Well, that's it built. So before we start looking at beautifying and painting it, gotta think about this. I have given it a bit of thought. This is all going to have to be milled. At least that edge and the bottom and the washer. The rest of it doesn't. There's a casting mark in there. If I want to mill it off, I don't know. It shows it that way, and it shows that on there. Now I said that this were as it came, and it wasn't, was it? I fly cut it, didn't I? So that is actually a flat face. So I guess that wants to go down on there with everything stripped off, and that wants milling, and then I need to mill off the bottom, so I get 3.5 inches from the base of that to the dead centre of this. I'm sure it's 3.5 inch, I'll double check, but I'm sure that's what my method is. 3.5 inch to the centre of chuck, but I'll bring a centre in and we'll mark it from that. I did put a straight ruler across the other night, and it is 3.5. So there'll be quite a bit to mill off bottom of this, maybe 1/8 or more. And then to make that fit. And then once that's done, apart from the 2-inch pins, which just got to be cut to length and glued in, but not yet, it would be to dress it all up and paint it and get these all level and some filler in there and make it all look nice and paint it. So do we call that the end of part, whatever, is it part 6? Part 7? I'm not sure, I'd have to have a look on computer. There's this piece of supplied metal, which is to make a guide base for that. I'm assuming that's the width of the carriage. That's got to be milled down to the width of the carriage. That's probably nearly 1/4 of an inch to come off that, and that fits on the bottom of there, and I suppose that's your guide and it just drops in. Then there's a longer bolt goes through, and the other piece will be it's got to be cut at angles so that it's always attached, and you just put it in and spin it round and tighten it, and it goes under the bed of the Murford. Some nuts and bolts. What is left is another piece of threaded rod, so it came with 2. That piece of steel. That piece of steel. Oh no. The brass for the fingers. That piece of steel. Yeah, go on. I've got a clue what that's for. And that, which I guess were for these, to do the nailed things, and I did them in brass. I don't know what that's for though. No idea. Anyway, all that's spare, so all that'll be going in the drawer. It's Friday. I've been in here pretty much all week on and off doing all sorts of jobs, sometimes 3 hours, 3.5 hours, and I still haven't used 5 litres of diesel on that heater. It's amazing. It's better than I ever thought it'd be. And the temperature in here is, I don't lie, I shall show you. If you can see that, 20.1 degrees in here. Yep. Well guys, that got it finished up to the end of part 7, and I'm quite pleased with how everything's gone so far. In fact, I'm super pleased. You know, it's looking really well. Is the kit. That's the right way up. So we did get quite a lot done. So these guys, these model engineers, they'd absolutely love one of these, because on a small mill or a small lathe, like a Myford or a Walco or something, You know, you can get this huge piece of tubing, which is unheard of normally, unless you made your own. So yeah, really pleased about that. Everything works super duper. The fingers screw in and out. They're absolutely great. It locks. Brilliant, absolutely. Well chuffed with that. And as I say, the next thing to do is just the base. So probably it'll be a part 8. And in part 8, we'll make the steel plate that holds the base down, or lines the base up. There's this to mill, there's the bottom of that to mill away, and probably mill all this writing off here to get some square flat edges, and we'll drill it, and then that can be bolted to it. And then I guess once it's completely finished, it's got to be all taken apart once it's done, and painted. That final bit is to fill it, paint it, rub it down, tart it up, make it look like a tart sandbag. Thanks for watching, guys. Click us a like if you will. If you've got any mates that might fancy out like this, let them know. Subscribe. Thank you. We're doing well. We're doing all right. I'm quite happy with what we've got so far, and as long as I can keep making stuff and people like me making stuff, that's great. We're just tinkering in this workshop, and now it's cheap to tinker because I've got my diesel heater and it's super cheap. I'm really chuffed with it. It's bringing heat up lovely in here. We're something like 20 degrees in here tonight. Thanks, guys.